For Real News is sponsored by assholes like you, so pay up, motherfucker. How's it going? How was your Labor Day? This is Ramon with Bold Like a Leopard. The For Real News coming at you again. We're not just making fun of the Real News, the network. We're making fun of a lot of their lefty Fruit Loop buddies. Previous episode, I addressed the whole delusion on the left that they have independent media. In some cases, yeah, but you know, when you're taking, I just saw today that the Young Turks had got some sort of you know, endorsement from Toyota or something, some sort of you know, plug from Toyota on a Hassan Piker video. I don't think you can really call yourself independent anymore when you're taking money from multinational corporations. Well, let's talk about labor and why the left thinks that it's on labor's side. Now, I'm not one of the people that works in the sector that would be, you know, conducive for organized labor. I'm an engineer. Majority of engineers have, you know, just good flexibility as far as where they can work. You know, if you're just talking straight up the job market, there's not a lot of limitations there. You could work in many different ways. You could work as a, you know, doing important research. You can do very strenuous and difficult design work, or you could, I mean, you could be a paper pusher engineer. I have plenty of friends who do that. You know, or sales engineers, things like that. So there's flexibility there. It's a very difficult market to organize. And I remember reading once that the Teamsters, they knew that they couldn't let independent owner-operators of trucks become too big of a thing because it would be impossible to organize truck owners into their union. So they were openly working with the large trucking companies in order to run out of business these mom-and-pop trucker businesses. So why am I saying this? I think that there's a kind of simplification going on the left about what workers' rights is. I see all the time Jimmy Dore, who I may get into in this segment. You know, I might make this, you know, into several parts because the hour is late and I've been very busy today. I was actually working, cleaning a house, the house I used to live in. Where was I? What's this fixation with labor on the left? Well, much of the reason that the left even started to exist as it does today, as opposed to the liberal left, there's the labor and socialist left, which stands for workers' rights, at least in principle. They want to increase the share of workers in the profits of the you know, the economy. They don't want the profits to be made by the people at the top. That's what they claim. Now, when you go to the logical extreme, they want the workers to actually own the means of production. Now, that is actually possible in a capitalist economy. It's just not that common. You do have worker-owned businesses. I remember in my the city I live in, there's a roofing business that's very large, and it's worker-owned, and basically people get, you know, shares and whatever. And I actually I'm in favor of it if people can get it done. You still need a management system though, and that's where they really have a problem, which is that they can't achieve a system where they truly have equality. They can on paper make it seem as if these businesses or enterprises, or whatever you want to call them, co-ops, they can make it seem as if they are basically egalitarian societies, but they're not, because inevitably there's somebody at the top. There's always going to be a difference between people that have you know, more valuable tasks and those that have tasks that you know, an idiot can perform. And you know, I know people that are they work in shops and they have to represent, or they have to be in the same union. You have mechanics who are very high-skilled employees, and you have janitors who are not. That's just the way it is. Unfortunately, when you talk about organized labor, you often combine unskilled and skilled labor. And that's where you really get to see that, there is no such thing as an egalitarian society, an equitable society. Because if you force people that are asked to do very difficult things to get the same amount of benefits as people that are basically, interchangeable with the first person off the street, you're going to get conflict, and you're going to see people that realize that they're not getting their fair share of whatever profit there is to get, whatever benefits there are to get out of it. And I think that ultimately this is one of the reasons that we see that capitalism ultimately is the human condition that's most natural, at least in the Western world. I mean, I can't speak for some of these other societies around the world, and indigenous societies. I mean, they have every right to continue the way they are, but we're not talking about them. Basically, I'm going to talk to you today about how the left, they like to idealize socialism as if it's some sort of, this elusive brass ring that has to be reached. No matter how many times you fail, you have to reach it. No matter how many people are buried because of it, you have to try again. And that's really where I'm going. So let's start off this week with David Pakman and his debunking the socialism doesn't work. So we're essentially going to be, we're going to be trolling the debunking. I don't know how to say it otherwise.